Yes,
Hello,
we are.
everybody, and welcome to the Stablecoins Managing Global Financial Stability panel. We had a last-minute substitution, unfortunately, but we're happy to have Zahreddine joining us. First and foremost, we would just like to thank the Paris Blockchain Week Summit for putting on a great conference like this, especially during a challenging time. I mean, I think it's really a testament to our industry that we're able to get people organized in a manner like this, working on the future of digital financial systems as well as economic systems. And we're really very grateful. So my name is Mike Rogers. I'm a research analyst at The Block, and I will ask everybody that's currently on the panel to basically just start out by stating what they're currently working on and why they're here. So Zahreddine, let's start out with you. Can you please tell the audience about your previous work at Natixis, and how did that lead you to become the head of trading at Woorton?
Yeah. So basically, I was on a trading floor at Natixis, trading total return swap. It's a product that is a bit specific. Basically, it allows an entity, for example, a hedge fund, to receive the change in market value of a security plus any dividend, coupon, or anything in return for paying like a floating interest rate. And the result for the hedge fund is being synthetically long of the assets in exchange for an interest rate charge instead of having to fund the purchase of the stocks themselves. So it's pretty much a simple asset usually. But the issue is that we were trading total return swaps with a maturity of like 10 years. And the big problem with 10 years is that you don't know the dividends, the coupon, and how the market will be in 10 years, which requires a lot of modelization to be able to price such assets. At that time, basically also there were some regulation that came in, European market infrastructure regulation, where basically you had to have more collateral for the trades. And the fact that you need also to basically be closely in touch with the quantitative teams, with the risk teams, with the IT teams, because of the complexity of the products and also the sophistication of the hedge funds we were facing, basically gives you a good idea of how a prop shop, a trading company should work. From the risk management to the IT side, to the modelization and quantitative side, to the relationship with the banks and so on. At this time, I started investing in cryptocurrencies since a bit of time already, and I wanted to be fully live on that, and that's how we started Woorton. So Woorton, now we are a prop shop. We basically make markets on most of the exchanges out there, and we also provide liquidity to most of the large players on the crypto market. It's a bit different because it's not the issue is not about pricing the asset. The issue is more about the flow. The more information that you have, the more capacity you have to know where the flow will be and what will be the price in a few nanoseconds, a few seconds. So it's different, but it gives you a good idea of how operation should work. And that's how I ended up co-founding and being head of trading at Woorton.
Well, liquidity is definitely important in ecosystem that's still as nascent as the digital assets. I think we saw even back in March when liquidity in the traditional financial system was drained. We had Black Thursday for Bitcoin, and which lost over half of its value within 24 hours. So
yeah, that was a big day for us.
we're glad that you're working on providing solutions. So Rémi, next question is for you, just to provide the audience with understanding of your background as a lead developer at Deloitte, and how did that lead you to work in Natixis now, as well as your current work in digital assets?
Yeah, first of all, I'm very happy and glad to be here with you all to talk about stablecoin. And also, I'm a former colleague of Zahreddine. I also work at Natixis. I still work there, so I'm here for 1.5 years. So basically, I was an IT developer, Java developer for 10 years. I was in a service company. I was working as a contractor for the financial field for General, Amundi, and other financial institutions. And between two contracts, my boss told me, hey, let's do a study about blockchain and crypto money. So that's how I got the virus. And after 6 months about exploring it, I wanted to work full time on it. So at the same time, Deloitte was looking for its lead blockchain developer. So I applied for the job, and I work there on many consultancy blockchain projects. One including French Federation of Insurance, 14 insurer of French insurer, about use case on Hamon law legislation. I also did a lot of research, and it was in 2016 the period when we were doing POC. So as a developer, I was developing in Solidity and Tendermint some use case and showing it to clients, and also doing some presentation. And then in 2018, the beginning of 2018, end of 2017, a former colleague at Deloitte who was working with Natixis introduced me. They were looking for their lead developer as well, lead blockchain developer. So yeah, that was a time where there was a lot of interest in blockchain and crypto. You know, the end of the bull run of the epic bull run of 2017. So yeah, there was one recruitment at Natixis, so I applied for the job, and now I'm working since 2.5 years there as a lead blockchain developer. So basically, I'm the tech guy for blockchain projects. Some of them are Comgo, based on the Quorum technology, Marco Polo, trade finance, supply trade finance project based on the Corda technology. We also work with Banque de France on 2 projects. The first one is Madre, which is a referential for SEPA identifier, which is in production right now. And we are also working on a subject that interests us now is CBDC experiments with Banque de France. So I will maybe tell you a little bit about it later.
Yeah, great. Well, you know, so we have 2 former Big Four alumni here. I started my career at Ernst & Young, and actually we at the Block just put out back in August, speaking of central bank digital currencies, because there's a lot of overlap between stablecoins and CBDCs. We put out a report on central bank digital currencies that was sponsored by Deloitte. So it seems like they're pretty involved in the digital asset space. And then Brian, how did you get into digital assets, and how did that kind of play into your current work at Bidao?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, you know, very nice to talk to you guys. I think it's a very interesting panel, and we have a lot to talk about stablecoins. And yeah, to your question, I was, you know, I was born in Argentina, so I always kind of had like a country with like weird currencies and stuff like that, you know, many changes and also many restrictions. They, you know, they constantly, you know, for example, like one government will restrict you to, you know, buy dollars, and the other one may not, and the rates will change and things like that. And, you know, since I was a kid, I was like always, I mean, I wasn't like, you know, more interested than other people of my age anyways, like everyone. You know, I was raised in a kind of lower middle class family in Argentina. So, I mean, we were always trying to, you know, save some money and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything special, you know, compared to my friends. Like we were always, you know, thinking about things like that. And I think like when people from Argentina, for example, they know that they have to eventually save in dollars, for example, or things like that. Because if you save in your currency, by the time you are old, like it is worthless, right? And so at some time I was, you know, I think it was my computer. I was like into some games or something, and I kind of found out about Bitcoin, and I thought, well, you know, it could be interesting. And I was also kind of interested about, I mean, this was when I was like kind of in high school actually. So, you know, I was like 17, 18, something like that. And so at that time I was kind of interested, mostly because I thought like, you know, it could be something special, mostly because like pretty much everything has some kind of virtual like comparant right now. Like for example, like everything went virtual in a way. You know, for example, taxis are Ubers. Social networking is Facebook. You know, stuff like that basically. And I was like, well, I'm sure that there will be some kind of virtual currency. And I thought at the time it would be Bitcoin, and that's why I got more interested into the space. And then I started investing some money on it, and then you know it's I got into the cryptic hack. I don't know if you some people may hear about it. It was like one of the exchanges that got hacked. There were many kind of the same similar situations about it, and so for some time I didn't want to hear anything about crypto, and you know I was kind of mad about it because I lost a lot and just didn't want to hear much. And then after a year or so, I kind of got back into it, and there was the bull run of 2017, and I kind of started getting more involved into projects and so on. And then about over a year ago, or yeah, a little more than a year ago, Bastian contacted me about this project that he was working on, and it was about stablecoins, and I was, you know, I was like really excited about it because I don't know, it was like about decentralized finance and stablecoins, and at the time, you know, it wasn't that hot. Like over a year ago, it wasn't that hot. So yeah, when I told people, they were like, "What is that about?" But yeah, I knew that it could be hot, and I'm glad I joined at that time.
Well, yeah, we'll get to DeFi in a little bit, and I think that's one of the things that's very exciting about stablecoins is that it's a fiat on ramp into this digital parallel financial system that we are all creating and working with. And I can totally relate. I think that all of us are brought into the token land rabbit hole some way, and then we kind of just find our way staying here because it really is quite a fascinating space that is growing significantly. So Zahreddine, just to get started, in your own words, what is a stablecoin? Let's just start out with a very deceptively simple question. And how does it differ from other digital and cryptocurrencies?
Well, from our perspective as a trader and as a market-making firm, we see stablecoins as a digital asset that is stable in a sense, and stable relative to something. So it could be, for example, another currency, like a peg with, for instance, euro or a dollar. Could be stable relatively to an asset. For example, could be a basket of assets that bring the stability. So it's not stable in a sense that it does not move. It is for us stable in the sense that it moves, it follows the moves of something that is pretty more stable, a bit more stable than what we see in the cryptocurrency market. Most of the time, those stable coins are using another protocol, so they don't have their own protocol. They use, for instance, Ethereum, Tezos, Algorand, Omni, Bitcoin sometimes with USDT. And for us, it's pretty interesting to have those. Basically, because in terms of trading, it is much easier to price a stablecoin because we just have to price the assets themselves that are behind the stablecoin. Could be euro; it's pretty easy. We have streams for euro dollar or euro Bitcoin or anything. It could be gold or anything, and we have prices for that also, and we can price those. Could be a stock as well, and we can price that. While pricing Bitcoin is a bit more difficult because the modelization of this is a bit more complex. There is no cash flow. There is no that is expected. So it's mostly flow driven. So yeah, that's what we see as stablecoin.
Yeah, and you know, when you're talking about the different denominations of stablecoins, actually at the Block Research we have a forthcoming in January paper for that we worked on for a client-sponsored report, and it kind of gets back to what Brian was saying with the U.S. dollar. I believe 98% is what we calculated of stablecoins are currently denominated in US dollars. So that is pretty. That's not even that is the majority of the stablecoin market.
And that's very interesting what you're saying, because when I said it's easy for us to price and to make markets on those, the complexity of it is the risk that we're taking by trading this. When I trade Bitcoin, I know basically that I have I'm using the Bitcoin protocol that is pretty much secure, very secure actually, and that I'm using the unit that is on this protocol, that is Bitcoin, and that is basically priced on the market basically because of demand and people that are buying and people that are selling. On the stablecoin side, when we trade that, the risk is elsewhere. The risk is on the counterparty risk. It's the counterparty risk. How is it backed? By who? Where is the US dollar? And we've seen that with Tether. Is it euro? Is it dollars that they have? Is it Bitcoin now? Is it something else than Bitcoin? Where is the money? Is it in their bank in Puerto Rico? Not anymore. Noble Bank does not exist anymore. Is it in and that's the big point of stablecoins in our market, at least.
We have a question on Tether forthcoming, and I guess the next one will be for Rémi. Basically, and as I mentioned with the Block, we also have a year-end report that's coming out from the Block Research. And actually, what my fellow colleagues calculated is that we have almost $1 trillion, I believe, in stablecoin transaction volume this year, which is greater than Visa. So, Rémi, what do you attribute to the significant growth that we've seen thus far this year in 2020 for stablecoins?
Yeah, so there has been a tremendous increase both in terms of liquidity and also in terms of market cap of stablecoin. So yeah, this can be explained by some factors. The first factor, I believe, is the crypto bull market of mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin is up year to date 2.5x, and Ethereum 4x. So basically, the stable coins, they are on an on-ramp for accessing those very liquid markets, because the crypto economy is in dollar. Everybody quote Bitcoin in dollar. Everybody in the crypto community thinks in dollar. So yeah, everything is in dollar in the crypto industry. So for example, the biggest inflow of money is coming from Asia. In Asia, they don't have direct exposure to the dollar. So what they are doing is like, in order to gain exposure to the dollar, they are buying USDT, basically. And then that's the door for entering the crypto market. So that's an on-ramp. Also now, the BTC USDT Tether coin pair is more liquid than the BTC USD pair. So if you want to access the most liquid markets on crypto, you have to use stablecoin. Also, it's yeah, an easy way to move money around exchanges. So it's mainly used for buying and selling, for trading. And the second factor, in my opinion, is the DeFi summer, the incredible DeFi summer that we had in 2020. So there has been an explosion of in terms of new DeFi protocols, especially AMM, automated market maker, that allows you to swap tokens, such as Uniswap, for example. I think I read that Uniswap did more volume than Coinbase during August and September, so which is like mind-blowing. Also, lending platforms such as Aave and Compound has seen tremendous increases, and there is also a strategy directive fund with a directive strategy like iEarn Finance, and also derivative like Natixis. So all of this, it's people trying to look for the best yield. So because the yield, the interest rate in on euro and dollar is very, very low right now, like negative almost. So in DeFi, you can have 6%, 10%, and even more when you're using those protocols, because of course there is risk, but there is also big reward. So
yeah.
So yeah, there's been some yield farming going on since this summer, and so the base DeFi layer that we needed to in order to create other financial instrument is stablecoin. You know, with ETH and BTC, it was because of the volatility, it's not possible to build those instruments. But with now we have some dollar, and it's a little sad that we only have some dollar, maybe some euro. There is still some euro, but it's still very tiny compared to the dollar stablecoin. But we'll see. Maybe CBDC. Yeah.
It really shows how much potential for growth there is in our industry.
Yeah, there is an enormous potential. Exactly. And also, yeah, it's like a communicating vase between DeFi and stablecoin. So DeFi is growing, crypto is growing, and so stablecoin is growing, obviously.
Thank you, Rémi. You really touched on all the major themes there, and we have forthcoming questions on some of those. DeFi, for those in the audience that aren't familiar, and I think most people are, it's decentralized finance, and a lot of it has to do with the low interest rate environment that we find ourselves in. Everybody's looking for yield, and I can say that internally, a lot of our content, and we provide research for hedge funds as well as venture capitalists, they are all interested in the DeFi space. And before we get to DeFi, though, Brian, touching on Tether, which Zahreddine mentioned a little bit before, Tether really is a majority, the bulk, maybe 90%, if not more, of the current stablecoin market. So do you think that, does anything worry you about Tether? Does this concern you that they make up such a big piece of it? Is it potentially a systemic threat to digital assets?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is concerning for pretty much everyone in the industry that, they know about Tether. I think it is concerning because I think mostly because we probably don't have all the facts, actually. I mean, I don't know how bad it is and because it looked from more perspective. I mean, from my perspective, for example, it looks pretty bad because, it doesn't seem like as transparent as USDC, for example, or things like that are, much smaller still in market cap. And if you think that most of the crypto market is on Tether and it's all based on that, and there are billions and billions there, and it's there is not so much transparency about the banks they're using or things like that. I think it is concerning, but at the same point, I mean, institutions obviously use them a lot, and so maybe they know something that we don't know that they share internally or something like that. I think that may be the situation sometimes. In my perspective, sometimes it is hard also to see things from the outside, and it looks bad, and maybe it's not so bad. I don't know, but I mean, for some reason, they all use it. The institutions keep using Tether for like the main, as the main stablecoin at the same time. And if they wanted to promote, for example, USDC, they could do it without bigger issues. Because, for example, most exchanges now, it's easier to trade against USDT for if you compare that to USDC. So I mean, obviously, exchanges do promote that in a way, subtle way, or maybe it's not even. Maybe it's because the volume was always there, and they keep doing that, and users are also okay with that, with using USDT. But it does feel like a threat, but maybe it's not. I think it is very hard to say what is right and if it's right or not. It does, obviously it could be like more transparent. I think if you will have a little more transparency on that, I think it will be great for the market. And I think people do have more risk when they use USDT against USDC, but for example, USDC is also not all like cash. They also have some other things also that are part of the portfolio of stables they're using. So I mean, there is always a little risk there, here and there, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe to react really.
Yeah, and Zahreddine, that actually gets into what with stablecoin regulation. And you feel free to comment more further on Tether if you'd like to.
Basically, to react really briefly on the euro US dollar side, the reason why there is there's not any euro stablecoin that is very liquid. So there is several ones. The biggest one is that because it's very costly to do a euro stablecoin. The primary source of revenue for US dollar coins are the interest rates when you place the US dollar, because you have positive interest rates on the US dollar, while in Europe those are negative or have been negative for a long time. So it's very costly. The second reason also is that basically Europe is a very, very small actor in this market. So most of the innovation did not come mainly from Europe, but we have the big players in the US and in Asia, and we see that at Woorton. Almost none of our flow is in France or Europe. It's mostly the US, Asia, and that's it. On Tether, I agree. It's just a question of usage and liquidity. It has been liquid for a long time. USDC is pretty new in the market. Tether has been very old, so there is still liquid market, and that's why even we at Woorton, we use Tether, even if we prefer to use USDC, because the flow is there and the clients are, and the counterparties are there. And that's why we do that. In terms of regulation, and to answer maybe quickly to Gil answer, on-chain is very tough. The Euro USD risk to manage with on-chain tools. We have obviously centralized tools to do that, but on-chain, we don't know at this stage any tool. In terms of regulation, there has been MiCA recently. They basically classify 3 types of assets. The first one is like the utility token that everyone knows. The second one is the stable coin, the single stable coin with only one asset. And the third one is the stable coin with several type of assets, such as, for instance, Libra. And the approach that MiCA is taking is very much into classifying those stable coins as electronic money at the European level. So we have a whole framework that exists about electronic money. So you have to be a payment institution or an electronic money institution to be able to manage that. The only problem is that electronic money has one quality that most of the stable coins do not have, which is that it has to be redeemable at pair, and most of the time it's in a lot of cases it's not that simple on our field and our sector in the crypto field, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that how a protocol can be electronic money institution, how a stablecoin that is based on a protocol can be an electronic money institution. How can it comply when it's code, when it's software? And that's very tough, and the answer is not given. And I think I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's not. But today, at the present framework as it is on MiCA is not satisfying and do not match what the market is at the moment.
Great, thank you. And for the audience, MiCA is the markets and crypto asset regulation that is coming for the European Union, and we've seen that over here in the United States. We just had the Stable Act that's being introduced, so there's a lot of regulation coming for stablecoins. And thank you for discussing some of the different formats. And Rémi, maybe you could take us a little further with that. They're currently fiat-backed, crypto-backed, and algo-backed or seigniorage style. So can you kind of explain those a little bit more? And what do you think there's anything missing from the market?
Yeah, there are 3 types of stablecoin. So fiat-backed, it's simple, easy to understand. €1 in the bank is 1 token on the public blockchain usually. So the example is Tether, as we've talked, USDC, who is also 3 billion market cap, and Binance USD, Trust USD. So yeah, there are plenty of it. Basically it's 95% 5% of the market cap, and there is counterparty risk. So that's why then the crypto-backed stablecoin came in. It's basically synthetic assets which are based on over-collateralization. For example, if I have $200 in Ether, I can put them as collateral and get a debt of $200 of $100. Sorry, so half. So for example, in this example, I'm over collateralized at 200%, and of course there is liquidation involved in case my collateral doesn't cover my debt. There are also oracles which state the price of Ether, of the collateral, and of the dollar. There is a stability fee. So when there is a debt, there is an interest rate. And also, I'd like to talk a little bit about Maker and the DAI stablecoin, which is the most prominent crypto-backed stablecoin. So they also have so they have liquidation, over-collateralization in order to address the risk of the volatility of crypto, but they also have a token of governance called MKR, and a dilution mechanism in case of there is a lot of liquidation and the liquidation doesn't cover all the debt. Then they are minting some more MKR, so diluting their own governance token in order to recover the debt. And this has already happened once last year. So yeah, there is also Natixis, which is a little bit like it, but a little bit less complex also. And what is funny is I was making a presentation about MakerDAO and the stablecoin DAI 2 years ago, and the market cap was $80 million, and right now it's over $1 billion 2 years after.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of exponential growth. It's still more little than USDC and Tether, but still, it's the curve is impressive. And the last one is algo-based, like Ampleforce or YAM. So yeah, they're very cutting-edge technology, and they are based on if the price is too high, then the supply is elastic and increases. And then if the price is lower than $1, then the supply decreases. So it's supposed to bring the price around the dollar. But what we've seen with Ampleforce, for example, is the price can go from 40 cents up to $4. So it's still very early and very experimental, and it's not fully backed like the crypto-backed and the fiat-backed. So yeah, maybe don't play too much with it. And what's missing, in my opinion, is like a fiat token, which is not backed, obviously, which is the real dollar or the real euro, like that doesn't need to be backed. Meaning that the token is minted directly. So the fiat token is minted directly on the blockchain by the minter. So the minter, there are two minters. It's the European bank, I mean the central bank, or the US one, and also the commercial bank. When we do at Natixis, when we do loan, we are kind of also printing money, so we could issue them directly on blockchain and then have people pay for their apartment directly with tokens. So, in my opinion, that's the missing part of stablecoin right now.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you touched on MakerDAO because that kind of serves as a bridge to move over to the decentralized finance ecosystem. And Brian, maybe you could comment a little more on that, how stablecoins will play into that ecosystem and what you're doing at Bidao for it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think stablecoins really come to the decentralized finance ecosystem, and they're really important. You know, for example, like Rémi mentioned before, in share farming, you know, you can share with the stablecoins as well. And what we're doing at Bidao is basically sort of a MakerDAO and connect. Sort of, it's not obviously MakerDAO, but we try to connect with our chains and different tokens and so on. and we use them as collateral to create a stablecoin. So it's very similar in that sense, and I think that the stablecoins are, a very important part of decentralized finance, and probably keep growing, in my opinion, because right now, for example, many people use, decentralized finance is all based on Ethereum mostly, I would say, and at some point we probably see some shift into our chains as well, and also into some, more stable coins and things like that aren't getting so much attention right now.
Great, thank you. And we have about 6 minutes left here, so we'll try to go rapid fire on the questions. And please just try to be concise with some of the responses. But Zahreddine, so how will the Forex system, foreign exchange of currencies, how can stablecoins leverage what already exists, and how will the future of Forex potentially change from stablecoins?
So on mute. Sorry, I was on mute.
No.
So today, the way we use stablecoins to take advantage of the Forex market is basically on settlement. It's easy to use to basically price a stablecoin based on the Forex market using it, but the complexity and the way we use it is more on settlement. For instance, if we have to trade a euro dollar or a USD or USD Swiss franc pair on a large size, we might do the Forex on a centralized institution, and then use the stablecoin to move money overseas to an exchange or something like that. So today it's probably the other side. It's mostly the Forex market that use the stablecoin infrastructure in the settlement process than the Forex market, the stablecoin that use the Forex market. Today, at least, that's what the market is. Tomorrow, that might change, and we might see a Forex market organized as the crypto market is, with different exchanges where you can trade instantly on chain or off chain, but with an asset that you owe. While today on the Forex market, when you trade, you don't really owe the currencies. They are on a depository bank, custodian bank, and you can trade everywhere with the same money. For example, do arbitrage, and at the end of the day, the custodian banks, they connect to each other and they settle, which is way different in the crypto market, because if you want to trade, you need funding. No funding, no trading. That's what we used to say, and that's very different from the traditional market.
Settlement really is the key word there, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. That's one of the things that makes it really special. So Rémi, how can central bank digital currencies, which are issued by monetary authorities, and stablecoins, which are typically issued by private institutions, what is the relationship between them, and how do you think that will evolve over time?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Central bank digital currencies and stablecoins. What is the relationship between the two of them, and how will that evolve over time?
Yeah, so actually at Natixis we are working on the CBDC experiment with Banque de France. So I cannot say much about it because we like to present our conclusion to Banque de France first. But yeah, we are working with R3, Accenture, SDX, Commerzbank, Credit Suisse, UBS, SAP, and Digital Asset about addressing what could be a technological solution and a business solution for an interoperable CBDC, which can be used for wholesale and retail, and also which can be used for delivery versus payment for other financial instruments. So for now, it's difficult to talk about. Basically, they don't exist. There is one in China which is tested with thousands of people in production, but yeah, it's very it's the only example that I have in mind. So as I said, we will see later if commercial bank will play a role too in this, because because central banks are the main emitter of money with loans also. So maybe they could issue on a blockchain too. But CBDC will be very interested in the sense that it could bring more liquidity with a very limited risk as compared to the stablecoin that we have now.
Great, thank you. And Brian, since you are a CTO, can you comment on technical standards and how you think that that would potentially help stablecoins increase their adoption and help regulators become more comfortable with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for example, we at Bidao, we're also working with Digital Europe, which is kind of an initiative that is working on Europe and different things about tech. For example, they also work with, other tech companies, and we are the only blockchain company that is working with them. And they're also, working with other top tech companies to basically help regulators to understand the technologies, basically, pretty much. And I think that is a big problem with that. That is the kind of the technical requirements for security and safety, and also the part of the regulations that it makes sense and that they understand the risk and so on. I think that's what makes crypto risky in a way too, in not only stablecoins, but just because the regulations are very maybe they are strict in some ways that they don't need to be, and not so strict in things that they should be, in my opinion. And so with that kind of that gives us back to the stablecoin issue. And I think there are different things that it could be done technical, but I mean the things that regulators may not, sometimes they don't understand what is needed, and that's what we are working on with them, and so on with Digital Europe, for example, and to try to get them understand the risk. But I think there is, unfortunately, there is a big barrier, I think, for people to understand the risk about first cryptocurrencies and then stablecoins.
Great, thank you. And unfortunately, we're running out of time here. Really, I appreciate you guys taking the time to meet with us. Please look out for everything that all of our companies are putting out in relation to stablecoins. And thank you, everybody, for attending the panel.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, everybody.